Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And Huke's video yesterday has most certainly opened Pandora's box here in the competitive Call of Duty community, the implications of which are far-reaching and will likely continue for the weeks and months to come, most certainly. But the CDL are not happy with the implications this has for their league, taking some significant evasive action and damage control these past 24 hours, to which the community, understandably, has been significantly angered. Very much intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you were new as always. I greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Certainly do not want to miss any further update on this situation that I will certainly be talking about for coming days at this point, because this video that it came out with was very long. It's 30 minutes long. So much to dive into here, but still, the Adderall discussion is the big thing that we have to dive into in more detail today, because some of the immediate reaction to this and then the follow-on later in the evening is generally remarkable stuff. And I think that June 9th or whatever it was, 2021 will certainly go down in Call of Duty folklore history as, well, one of the greatest, most important days really for, well, Call of Duty as it stands and going forward as well. This is what Huke has to say in the video. We did look at this, of course, last night, because the implications of, you know, the reigning world champion in Huke, of course, on the Dallas Empire last season, saying that he was on Adderall, performance-enhancing drug or whatever, during his time actually winning the championship last year. The implications for this are crazy. What do the CDL do about this? What happens to the championship win from last year? Do they do anything about it at all? I guess if they deal with it, and it's kind of admitting that there's some sort of issue within their league with players abusing this type of stuff. And of course, that's the issue, right? It's not necessarily the CDL's fault in the way that players have been doing this for a decade, but a lot of people would argue it's very much their fault, the fact that they've been aware of this since the CDL's inception, and yet have done nothing to address the issues that have been affecting the competitive integrity of their league, but also the health of the players themselves, which is really what some of the big discussion was about coming out of this initially, and the drama was kicking off on the timeline most certainly after this initially came out. A center says, "I'm glad Huke is being transparent about Adderall and how it made him feel while competing. I hope we can have a system to drug test players, not so much to make an even playing field, but I don't care if my competitor takes it, more so because of their long-term health implications," right? And, you know, myself and sort of ZooMaa will talk about it in the coming minutes, right? And other, you know, I suppose commentators on the scene. We all love competitive Call of Duty. We all want the best for it. And it just, I think a lot of people are looking at some of the actions that maybe the CDL have taken. We'll look at it over the last 24 hours and thinking like, look, is this the best way to address things? I think, probably a Streisand effect may well be occurring right here. And CENSOR does talk about it in more detail as well. The fact that, like, he never felt that he needed to take it throughout his career, but the health implications that it has had for some of his, fellow pros has been frustrating. We'll see Morks talk about it here in just a couple of seconds. Acrover at the Paris Legion as well says, "For the new generation of COD players, all you need is passion and love for the game, not Adderall. Never thought I would have to be tweeting this." And, we see similar things really that come out from Zero. I stopped taking it after Black Ops 3. Never felt better. Health is wealth. People always remember that. And Louis CM right here and Defrag, prominent players in the European amateur scene for years have been talking about the fact that, like, as an amateur, you're made to feel like you need it to hang with the best. Clearly not the case. That's what happens when you hear countless stories of teams that won a gobbling Addy like they are Skittles, start infecting everyone in the Call of Duty community. And Zero says as well, his best year as a competitor probably was Infinite Warfare, right, when he was at times the best player in the game. And he's just saying, like, you know, as soon as I stopped doing it, I've been super consistent for 7 years straight. You certainly do not need it, fellas. And Morks talked about it right here. I won't look at the tweet longer in detail just because we have plenty to cover right here. But he talks about the fact that earlier this season, he got, of course, dropped from the Mutineers. Last time around, he was having a tough time finding his rhythm again in the Challenger side, and he was taking it for a few months at the start of the season, and then felt that his personality was changing, and he couldn't actually be happy without this drug, and all this like addiction that he found. And he said he had some good friends that have, you know, helped him, wrestle with the addiction effectively, and he's been clean for 3 months now. So it's crazy the extent of this, right? And it's been going on for years. And the crazy thing to me is that, X comes out with this, but also, as Crone's going to talk about in a second here, the fact that the CDL apparently were made aware of this, and the fact that it was a big deal by none other than Slasher, of course, Austin Slasher Litter Goat, just earlier on last season before the CDL even kicked off. But this is what X has to say on the matter. This is really what started kicking off the talk, because as he says, "I like to preface this by saying I like Kyler, that being Huke, and only wish the best for him." Of course, they were teammates back in Envy and in the Black Ops 4 days, didn't really have too much success, but they were teammates for a time. This sparks a seriously bigger question. A CDL player publicly admitted, which takes balls, that he used Addy during a World Championship event for the CDL and happened to go on to win it, which is, I know, against the rules in the contracts and, and in the player agreements, right? Like, even though the CDL might not enforce it, it's kind of like the whole cheating stuff with Warzone a while ago, where they were like, yeah, please lads, don't cheat. It would really make us happy, right? And kind of the same thing here. It's technically against the rules, but do they actually try and stop players using it? You could argue no. The CDL has been warned since its inception from numerous people about Addy and the need to drug test to actually enforce it. Even though they've admitted it's against the rules, they've disregarded and turned a blind die since day 0 before the CDL even began. I feel like now they have to act in some capacity. If they don't, then what? It's just fair game for everyone to do so, and by their inaction, they are essentially allowing it. It's absolutely been a widespread issue for a long time, and many people thought that with the CDL it was going to be the end of ILLey. It has only been the opposite. So this is a really interesting statement here from X that he comes out with, and as Chrome says right here, I'm told Slasher was one of the few players who pushed for drug testing at the player summit before the start of the Modern Warfare season. Nothing, silence from the CDL the entire time. And well, as Modern Warfare says, it being incredibly expensive, which is very true indeed, but as Chrome says, like, if only they charged 20+ million for a franchise spot, maybe they would have the money to deal with this type of situation. So the flank is going down, you know the drill at this point, emergency flank comes through. We also had the crazy roster change right when Huke comes back into Los Angeles Thieves starting lineup. There's a lot to talk about on that front that we did yesterday, and many more implications. The fact that, okay, now Huke's technically admitted to being using Adderall, right? Does that have implications for what the CDL want to do with him going forwards, right? Is it like, are they just going to say, okay, that's absolutely fine, let's just move on with our life? I don't really know, right? I don't know how this is going to end, to be honest, but look, the flank is doing their thing, you know the drill at this point. It's about to kick off, it's 5 minutes to showtime, and all of a sudden we get this clip. I'll show it for you guys on stream right here. So effectively, Ben is, Ben obviously had some words from whoever was talking to him, right? Now, I imagine it was his boss, aBeZy. This is the situation with aBeZy. He owns a company called Esports Engine. They do a lot of tournament production stuff for the CDL. Now, Ben says, look, Tommy, get out the room. I think basically, like, Ben phoned up Tommy right here and said what he was getting told at the time. Now, of course, Ben, a bit of a plonker, didn't mute his mic, so you can actually hear what he has to say. And Ben is saying Joanna Fairies is very upset that we are going to talk about ... before Hacky comes up clutch, I think, and moves him out of the call so that he isn't at further risk of losing his job. So I'll play this on screen for you guys real quick, and this is where things kick started.
Walk out of your room for a sec. So I don't have to sell you the problem.
Oh my god, what is happening?
He told me that Joanna here is calling him. Is very upset that we're going to talk about. And if they were not, he wanted me to be very clear that Activision.
User was moved out of your channel.
So aBeZy follows up with, hey, just to be clear, I called Ben after seeing the show starting and asked him not to discuss the issue as I didn't feel one of our employees should be wading into this topic. There was no direction from anyone other than me as a business operator. So, okay, Ben does like client relations and stuff for Esports Engine. At the end of the day, I understand this from Adam, right? Like, he has an entire organization, he has an entire team of staff that base a lot of their livelihood on the relationship that Esports Engine have with Activision and the CDL. To jeopardize that relationship over something like this would put the livelihood and the jobs of a lot of people at risk. We know how Activision and the CDL tend to be. So yeah, I totally understand this direction, but for aBeZy to say it's entirely his direction when, I mean, you know, you can see Ben talking on the flag right there about the fact that Joanna Fairies, that of course is the CDL commissioner, the head of leagues over at Activision that kind of runs the Call of Duty League stuff, is not too happy about the situation. So look, then it follows up and then it all kicks off, right? Because we have the players talking about it on the flank, they start the flank, and ZooMaa's also talking off stream to someone or other, and he's getting talked to about the whole situation. He's kind of like, you know, talk to people see if he can actually still talk about it. Effectively, they tell him no. And then towards the end of the show, after the roster stuff has been discussed, ZooMaa's had enough, and he's like, look, I'm not going to be silenced like this, I'm not going to be censored like this, I'm not going to be threatened into silence like this, I'm just going to speak my mind and talk about the whole Adderall situation as it stands. Ben, if you want to leave the call, feel free to do so, as indeed he does. And then some follow-on discussion from Aches and from Parasite on the whole situation. Remarkable scenes. ZooMaa went completely rogue, and I think as a community, we're pretty damn proud of him for doing it.
Hit me like, that's not cool, bro. That's not cool. Huke came out with a video, right? Huke. He made a video. He started talking about everything. Before we even went live with the show, Aches, you were tweeting about it. Chance was tweeting about his Adderall usage. The key word right here is Adderall. That's what we're talking about today. Adderall. I don't care. Do whatever you want to do. Find me. All right? Find me. Don't work with me ever again. Toss me to the side. I don't care. Because me as a person, I keep my pride, bro. I keep my pride. And that's, dude, I don't like to be told what to do when I'm not the cause of this. There's a clear problem. There's a clear problem right now, and it needs to be addressed, and it needs to be fixed. And I don't know if that might have ruined my future or whatever I was just being told, because, you know, I'm hearing things that my future might be ruined. But I don't give a f, man. Like, don't tell me that shit, bro. Like, with all due respect, I'm live. The last thing I want to hear is shit like that. And if you're gonna threaten me, then that's a problem for. That already tells me that I need to walk in the other direction and just keep my pride and keep my head up and go in the other direction, bro. Because that's bad news to me. That's bad news. I don't care who you are, bro. I don't care if you got billions of dollars.
My post was to bring light to the idea that this happened and that it has been discussed for a long time that something needs to be done regarding it. That was all my post was saying. I don't care what happens. I'm not the person who makes those decisions. I have no influence.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. It's just something needs to happen. That's
Well said, and I'm pretty sure every single person in here and probably in the community agrees with you.
It's a very complicated thing to take, to fully get rid of, but at least get addressed. But the problem is that from day one, when it was mentioned, when it was brought up, when suggestions were made, when everyone was alerted that this was a problem, it was a blind eye was turned to it and acted like, yeah, well, it's wrong, but there's just nothing that's going to be done about it. And that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. And it's also that it's public now. It's public. You have Huke coming out saying, you have all these pros saying, everybody's speaking their mind, and what, you want me to sit here on my knees and I say a word and make me feel threatened? That's a problem. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are, man.
As Apoc says, who's managed players in the Call of Duty scene for quite a while, this isn't a cover-up, this is damage control. Yes, there are fundamental issues that need attention in the welfare and wellness areas for players. Constructive conversations create solutions. Fueling public witch hunts damage and destroy revenues, making everyone a loser. So I can understand that's how the CDL are thinking on this issue, right? Allowing the flank to go ahead as it was going to could, cause some significant issues from how it looks from the CDL perspective, and maybe, cause some things to be said that don't necessarily want to be said. At the same time, this is, as I said earlier, a Streisand effect type situation. By trying to cover up and trying to paper over the cracks of the issues, all of a sudden it's an even bigger deal than it potentially was going to be before. This is one of the clips that ZooMaa, I probably already played it, if not I'll play it at the end of the video, with ZooMaa saying right here the fact that he effectively felt threatened by the powers that be over the situation. They were saying, because of course ZooMaa, I'm sure, wants to have some sort of relationship with the CDL going forwards. He's talked about the fact that, okay, could we bring the flank to LAN? Could we go to a LAN event and actually have the flank set up right there? Have like a studio type thing going on? The CDL could give them a space in the arena where they can do the flank as like an official post-game show after the fact. Now, clearly that's, maybe not, it's not going to be the case anymore, but ZooMaa's saying that maybe he was getting talked to on the phone. The fact that someone from the CDL or Activision was like, look, this is going to jeopardize our future relationship and therefore your future's at stake and this type of stuff. And ZooMaa, he's got too much pride for that. If he's, feels threatened by the situation, he just straight up comes out and says, look, I don't care about that, right? I don't care how many dollars you have. I'm standing by my principles on this issue. This is a quick rundown that Slippers I Wonder put on the Reddit right here. So Ben was called by Adam at moments before the show and told that Joanna Fairies is, annoyed that they're going to talk about everything, to say the least. ZooMaa's called and threatened not to go through with the show. Not exactly sure who threatened him, but seemed like it was by someone or other at Activision in the CDL, at least from what ZooMaa was saying at the time. The show starts with the assumption they won't be talking about it, but then it goes absolutely off on the main stage, right? I mean, of course, Ben dips out, understandably so, with the whole situation. Then, he goes on to talk about how things need to be changed, and that's the fact of the matter is, right, that we want the best for the CDL. This is a clear issue, has been for years. Finally, it's being talked about, and, being silenced in this way effectively is clearly not a good really for anyone involved. So it ends off like that. It just honestly absolutely remarkable scene. As ZooMaa says right here, my patience has been seriously tested today. Full composure has been lost. Understandably so, but I mean, what a day in Call of Duty history, to be honest, and where this goes next, nobody really knows at this point. Remarkable as it is to say with all this stuff going on, there's actually some games coming up later today that we will be talking about in the video that follows up, but over the coming days I'll certainly be weaving back this discussion through because there's so much to say on this. The whole Huke versus Crimsix stuff on the Empire side of things. Hastro and the Dallas Empire guys came up with a video last night talking about it, so there's a lot to dive into. You don't want to miss any of it, but these are the games for today at the very least. So Ultra versus Gorillas, OpTic versus Surge. We'll talk about that more later today, but just wanted to let you guys make sure you're aware of the situations that currently stand. Intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube because I know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always, take care, and I will see you next time.